we're going to Ypres for 2 days, and there we're going to visit 2 museums and 2 cemeteries. But we're also going into dugouts and trenches.
We're now going to visit the actual dugouts. Later we'll see a replica where we'll learn more details, but it's very interesting to see the actual dugout that's been actually used.
As you can see over here, the dugout is very nasty. There's a lot of dirt and water. You can actually imagine the stench and the sweat coming off the soldiers.
So we're now going to exit the dugout.
We are now entering the museum.
You see here that 2 men are eating and drinking in the trenches. The conditions were very bad, so the food was too. It was dirty, and it wasn't very healthy anymore. So the first gas is Clark. It wasn't the worst, still very bad, but not the worst of all. Phosgene, I don't know what to think about that. It was weird, nasty, but yeah, nothing special. Then mustard gas, that was far the worst one. I actually felt sick half an hour after that, because of smelling it. And the chlorine gas, well, it smelled just like chlorine. Nothing special.
Over here you can see close combat in the trenches by the Germans.
Alright, so over here, you can see these are the ones that they use inside the trenches. Mostly they were used in the Haig, outside vertical A. Here's some oil wrapping over here. You can see. And that was the pipe that was connected to the crank pump, as you can see. So you have to crank it, and then water would enter, and then exit over here.
We're now going to enter a dugout replica that's made in the museum here. So we'll see what it is. It's pretty narrow here. I think it was like this back in the days too. This narrow hallways down here in the dugout, and you can see that it's actually a mazer. There are entries everywhere. It's actually kind of hard to find a way. Okay, here you can see like a replica of a little room in the dugouts. Of course, in the actual dugouts here there will be water seeping through the roof, and we'll all be wet and muddy.
Alright, so right now we are in the sleeping area where the soldiers should sleep. You can see there's 6 places where the soldiers should sleep, but they are most of the time sleeping here. So you have to sleep under this nasty wool. It's not really comfortable. And yeah, that's basically it. And also, water would be coming down, making you totally wet, and that's not really nice while you're sleeping. Good.
So actually there is a way even deeper. We thought we were already deep enough, but it goes even deeper. I wonder how low we are from the ground now. Oh, that's gross.
These are the toilets that they would have used.
The kitchen was probably the nastiest place in the trenches. There would be rotting food, water seeping through, mud everywhere, and a terrible stench. There were also rats because of the food.
Even more sleeping in the narrowest places in the dugouts. Wonder how you can sleep down here. It's horrible.
Alright, so behind we have this really big artillery. So you can see, every time I shot, all the force would be shot into the earth. It has like these spikes that scoop down, and every time when it shoots, all that force, all that force shoots right into the ground, making a long bang. Yeah. So you see that hole there? The men would actually look through that and try to figure out where this shell would land. As you see, there were a lot of different types of shells.
We're now going to replica of the trenches. Well, why replica? It's basically because all the other trenches are destroyed by water and the dirty mud. You can see here how narrow the trenches are, and even I barely fit in here. So you should imagine how fast you would get your head over the edge and get shot. So here, we'll go in here. Look how narrow this is. How could you even move in here? It's so small. Mind your head, because
This is a mini dugout. It is very small, and soldiers were often very cramped in them. Here, they'd fiercely hope they would not end up dead due to a bomb or a fatal gunshot wound, and eventually get to return home safely to their families to live out a long and happy life.
So here you would probably be able to stand up and look over the edge and just see through the holes. This would be a gun hole to be able to put your guns through so that you don't have to go over here and shit. It's horrible.
Right now we are in a
As you can see, it's all made from scarce materials like wood. You wouldn't say this is the strongest, but still the trenches could stand pretty strong in here. But would it be horrible to fight in here all day long and sit here and wait to get.
Alright, now we're gonna go into the A-frame. Right here you can actually see the supports. Keep it preventing the walls collapse. So, come on, let's check this out. As you can see, there's a ladder that you can go over the top when getting shot by shells. So, actually, what you can see here is that the water would actually go in here and actually go somewhere and then get pumped out. It would feel terrible living in here for 4 years, or actually living here until you get shot and then die. So here you can see here's actually a bunker. So let's actually go into the bunker. And this thing looks terrible. It would be terrible to sit in here, wait, and hear all the gunshots. Also the bombs flying over you. It'd just be a terrible life actually. So let's keep on going. As you can see, there's the barbed wire. Sort of an interesting barbed wire. You can see the A-frame really good here. So probably if you fall inside of this, you'd break your ankle and probably get it amputated, as you just saw. And yeah, terrible. So let's keep on going. These sandbags would actually save your life. Yeah. Bullet coming through, stops right there. Hopefully, eh? Hopefully.
So actually here you would have another place where people would just stand up and put their head over the line, risking their lives shooting the enemy. Actually, this is kind of dangerous. I actually almost fell into the open parts here. But still, it would save the trenches, because with too much water, the trenches would literally just get destroyed by all the water and sand and mud. Bad. It's very narrow. I would imagine getting claustrophobic. These trenches. It's horrible. So I don't know how tiny you can make a bunker, but believe me, this is very, very, very tiny. I can't imagine sitting here for hours waiting to get a bomb on your head. Just sit here for hours waiting. It's horrible. Another shooting place here. And what we just saw would continue for kilometers, miles, miles. Just this, nothing more than this.
I'm going to tell you about all the things we've learned. In the trenches, there wasn't much food. Everyday food consisted of a tin can of beans or a tin can of corned beef, a hump of bread, and the British had cold tea, the French and the Belgian had cold coffee, and water. The water was not from pits or the swamp because that was filthy and caused diarrhea. The water came from empty gas cans and tasted like gas. Clothing. The soldiers wore a woolen uniform. It was very heavy and it stinks. When on alert, you're not allowed to sleep. You could have a nap if the soldier reported you. The soldiers in charge allowed it. The soldiers slept in bunks, and a nap was for about 1 or 2 hours. A soldier was responsible for his own equipment, which consists of a helmet, rifle, and a uniform. You can't leave it even when he's taking a nap. On the bunks, there were no pillows on the bed and also no mattresses because it'll get soaked. And there was a lot of vermin like mice, fleas, and lice. The tactics. By 1917, the German army was in a defensive role. 1 German was in defense and 3 allies were attacking. Casualty rates. In the Third Battle of Ypres, the British had 240,000 casualties. 1/3 of them were killed or died of wounds. It's hard to imagine soldiers being in trenches and fighting for 4 years in harsh circumstances. Medical. If you were wounded, you were taken out the battlefield and no energy was given to the dead man. Wounded were brought to a regimental aid post and were checked by medical doctors. Not everyone who was wounded was allowed to leave the trenches. If you had a small wound, you'd get stitched up and the doctor would give you an aspirin and you'd get sent back again. Daily life in the trenches. Fighting was very risky and everyone was busy. Daily life in the trenches was more like a routine. In the morning, soldiers stood fully equipped and got checked by the officers. At dawn, the enemy was most likely to attack, so soldiers had to get up early. Soldiers prepared their own breakfast with a small little fire and gas. They could make ham or eggs. And when they were on duty. And if you kept your head out of the trenches, there was a big chance you get shot with a sniper. Every half an hour, a spotter was appointed to watch the trenches. Dangerous. It was very dangerous in the trenches and just the whole battlefield. The no man's land was 150 meters long. Soldiers would shoot with snipers. Soldiers were kept busy and were strongly disciplined. Young soldiers had tasks such as cleaning boots, cleaning uniforms, or oiling their rifle. Machine guns had to be checked all the time. Puppies are grown in honor of the British Army. The Belgian Army has daisies, the French have the cornflower, and Germans have the forget-me-not.
The trip was so much fun. We learned so many things about Ypres and about everything that went on there.